Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. This video will be focused on Syria. On Syria in relation with or to the Russians, the Ukrainians, if you can believe, and the new leader, the reformed jihadist, I think he is. Well, I have 4 articles. First, Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of the Russian Federation, will point out the reason behind Bashar al-Assad's fall. It's something very easy, it's very simple, and it's very, how should I put it, valid. That's the first one. The second one, did you know that the Ukrainian foreign minister is in Syria? Just like that. He meets the reformed jihadist. There's a second one. The third one, what do you think they spoke about? The Russians. And the fourth article that I have here is the new Syrian leader wants Russia to stay in Syria? Well, let's start with the first article coming from Russia Today, which is talking about Lavrov, the foreign minister of the Russian Federation, who points the reason, singular, behind Assad's fall. Please pay attention to this. He's going to explain something very simple that is not spoken really here, which is how do you change a regime in a country? How do you make the authorities lose power? And how do you empower us, the people? That is through the stomach. All right? You don't see. Not through freedoms or lack of freedoms, through the stomach. The Russian foreign minister has said the U.S. occupation of oil-rich regions and tough economic sanctions have destabilized Syria. Tough economic sanctions. The U.S. military's presence in Syria's oil-rich provinces, as well as crippling economic sanctions imposed over the years, contributed to the downfall of former President Bashar Assad, Sergei Lavrov argued. He says armed opposition groups led by this guy here, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, mounted a surprise offensive in late November with whose sponsorship and weapons. They don't have factories, they don't have banks, okay. Taking over large swaths of Syria and seized the capital, Damascus, in a matter of days. Government forces offered little to no resistance. Why? And Assad and his family fled to Russia, where they were granted asylum. In an interview with TASS news agency on Monday, Lavrov said that one of the reasons for the situations degrading was the former leadership's inability to satisfy the population's basic needs amid a protracted civil war. What does that mean? So remember, the former leadership inability to satisfy the population's basic needs. That is, if the United States of America wants to change your regime, it's going to impose sanctions on you, on the country, if you don't follow orders. And then with sanctions, the United States of America will also be careful to make sure that other countries don't do business with you. Why? So they cripple you economically. When the economic situation in the country, like in Romania in 1989, the same thing. On this foundation of dissatisfaction and hatred towards the government. Why? Because you don't have food and your children are not having proper clothing and so on. What do? It's easier to just ignite a little spark and the whole thing is going to explode with the help of the little cells activated by foreigners, foreign agencies, agenturile străine. Remember that one, my fellow Romanians? Okay, so the same here. These guys crippled Assad's economy, and then what happened? Those guys just pulled and said, you know what? I think we should have a regime change here. Let me show you more. According to Lavrov, faced with dire economic conditions, Assad's government had to implement unpopular measures, which in turn resulted in spontaneous protests. That is the foundation. And while Moscow had been providing Damascus with humanitarian assistance, the former authorities failed to engage in meaningful dialogue with the opposition and neighboring states. The US military has been present in Syria since the early of 2014, with the professed aim of fighting Islamic State. terrorists. Assad's government has consistently denounced the American contingent as occupiers, accusing Washington of stealing natural resources. So they deployed 2,000 now from the 900. All right? So Russia too maintains a military presence in Syria, operating base in Khmeimim and Tartus. Khmeimim. In 2017, Moscow and Damascus agreed to station Russian troops there for 49 years. They're gonna just scrape it. Next one. Ukraine foreign minister meets with new Syrian leader in Damascus. How could this is the new leader, okay? He's a new leader. They don't tell us who this guy is. And I will make a little point here. So remember, new leader. How did the Ukrainian delegation move so fast? How was the new leader be able to just have a meeting? Everything seems to be organized already with the Ukrainians. Remember, Ukraine is just another country somewhere. I didn't see the German foreign minister. I didn't see the Bangladeshi or the Zimbabwean foreign minister over there. I see the Ukrainians. You can say, yeah, because of the Russians. But Ukraine is, you know what I mean? How come? It was organized by the guys who organized this. Who do you think organized this meeting between the new leader of Syria and the foreign minister of Ukraine? I have a good feeling that it was the Al Capone. It's me. Right? All right. So a Ukrainian delegation headed by Foreign Minister Andrei Shibka is currently in Syria and has met with the de facto leader of Syria. Now, this de facto, Ahmed al-Shara, or Shara. Let me give you this with Mr. Shara. I don't know the guy. I know this. He was an ISIS or Al-Qaeda guy, right? He was sent from, I think it was Iraq, wasn't he? From Iraq. He was shipped by the club, by the ISIS, by those guys who are not good people, they are bad people, shipped into Syria to destabilize and take over. How do you think he took over? Handing flowers? So he probably did some activity which Americans will call it terrorism. But being sponsored by, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Mujahideens in Afghanistan, CIA, okay, it's okay, that's the way it is. So this guy committed certain things. He wasn't over there just with intelligence stuff. He was over there with many things, ordering. No, he was in charge. I think he got with he got with $50,000 a month money coming from, we don't know who was sending him the money to operate together with 4 more people at the beginning. So this guy, I think he committed some crimes. I don't know. I'm just saying. So if he committed some crimes, let's say someone, let's give you one of my favorite examples, why it's clear cut, you don't have to figure things out. A rapist. If this guy committed some, not only one, rapes, and then he comes, I'm reformed right now, and right now let's say I'm in charge of this, what would you say? Would you say, wait a second, let's go back, indict you for those crimes, convict you, you do some time, and then after that you reform after you pay for what you did? No? Remember, Syria was an independent sovereign country when this guy was shipped by those bad people sponsored by okay, so until this guy is called now leader, not even reformed jihadist, he's a leader. Even the Russians, this term leader will change overnight when this guy fails or refuses to follow the orders of Al Capone. I guarantee you that. When this guy will say the first thing to the Americans, like the real thing, you know what, why don't you just beat it, play your violin at a different table, leave me alone. The next day, the media operatives received the call from agencies, and then they changed the term leader to jihadist, terrorist, and so on. Illegitimate, and you'll see why. I've seen this happening before. All right, let's look at the reason why Mr. Foreign Minister of Ukraine is in Syria. Ukraine seeks fresh diplomacy with Syria. Why so fast, homie? What's so important for you? Calls to end Russian influence. Isn't that, what do you mean? What do you mean calls that? So you have Russia, Ukraine, and Syria. And these guys go over there and tell them to end the Russian influence. Wait a second. Unless this is all organized by a common friend, manipulator, right? Guy who pulls strings here, the puppeteer, which is, I would say, one of them, the main one, is Al Capone. Yeah, there's the Turks over there too. There's the Israelis in charge of Al Capone and so on. That's true, but after all, the orders from Al Capone, they are in charge. And let's see what the new Syrian leader, even the Russians now call him that way. They don't call this guy, they used to call him former jihadist or something like that. Now, no, they changed to this one. He's the leader. So you see, they already granted him the crown, the imperium, the possibility to rule. Why? We'll see how you do. The moment you cross us, you're going to be turned from the leader. We're going to substitute that with, I don't know, terrorist. You'll see. You'll see. Wait. And this guy cannot dodge all the bullets. He's going to step on some shit here and there. Therefore, you're going to see people, the Russians or maybe the Americans or whomever, the Israelis, I was about to say the right term, the Israelis calling him this and that. Right now, they're zipped. Why? He's doing what he's supposed to do. Let's see what this guy says. New Syrian leader wants close ties with Russia. Now. That can change tomorrow. Speaking of Monday's military bases in the country, Ahmed al-Shara has said Damascus has strategic interests with one of the world's powers. Yeah, but you also follow orders. The new Syrian authorities, led by Islamist, he's Islamist. He's not jihadist anymore, he's Islamic. Paparab would like to remain on good terms with Russia, the country's de facto leader, Ahmed Hussein al-Shara, has said, also known by his name, the Gur Abu Muhammad al-Julani. He suggested in an interview with broadcaster Al Arabiya on Sunday that his government would not necessarily be seeking the withdrawal of Moscow military installations from the country after the militant groups in Syria took control of Damascus and forced the militant groups, right? It's not jihadis, no. So they play okay. Syria has strategic interest in maintaining good relations with the second most powerful country in the world. No, because you see, you have Poland doesn't give a fuck about the second power, the second most powerful country in the world. Lithuania doesn't give a shit. Latvia, Estonia, Germany, France, Great Britain, and like the list goes on and on and on. All these jackals, right? They don't care. Why would Syria care? Do you think they are more diplomatic? Remember that guy a few days ago, he was and now he's talking about diplomacy. I'm not saying that's impossible, but it's possible. I give it possibility. It's probable. When you're used to dictate and be done, or your order being followed, otherwise, boom, it's hard to be a democrat. It's hard. Your instincts. Put it this way. We all have, unless we're really, really weak, our tyrannical ego somewhere. Bigger or smaller. And it comes out when we possibly get the power and the checks upon us are less and less and less. Therefore, our tyrannical ego grows. Now, if you, let's say Elon Musk, by definition, he can't be a Democrat. He can't be. His job for so many years was, I tell you to do that and you do it. Nobody crosses me. Nobody tells me anything. I mean, you can, but eventually I'm in charge. I'm God. Why do you want to come down from a godlike statue to a, let's discuss, we're all equal, let's be. No. So I guarantee you, and you can look at other people, how they act after a while being in a position of God, like a judge. A judge acts like a god. He's not going to be interrupted. He's not going to be crossed. He's not going to be intellectually challenged. Why? He is in charge. So he's not going to be that we're equal here, we debate. No, I tell you what the fuck you do. So you're going to see in a judge real life, he has that attitude. Even outside, when he's supposed to play, let's say, a team sports. Let's say he plays soccer. He will still think that he can tell people what to do. And many people that own businesses and they're owners of the business, they have the same authorities. They play with them, let's say soccer. or American handball, I'm sorry, football, or something like that. And you're going to realize that these guys have that shape. They can't do this. I mean, they try to emulate a little bit. The best way to see someone's character is to play a team sport and play in the team with someone. And you're going to see how he takes defeat, how he takes victory, how he behaves with everybody else. You're going to figure out a person. That's the best way to see. You look from outside or playing with them and see how they're selfish, how they think they can order everybody else the same. I don't think this reformed jihadist, he is just right now a Democrat and he's okay, let's bring freedom and democracy and everything is good. I have 0.1%, right? So 0.1% I have that this guy is like that. Why? I don't know. I'm just, maybe I'm too calloused with dealing with real life and people. Not watching Hollywood movies and watching these guys telling us that everything is good and the school and the teachers. But those guys steal galore, billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, take from you and I and give it to Ukraine. And we're supposed to, yeah, that's fine. But if you drive, 5 miles above the speed limit, you get a citation, baby doll. Fuck you. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.